including, would you believe it, painting windows with yogurt.
No, surely not. Okay, so no doubt the fatty electrician, who's not that fat, he's looking great by the way, is gonna be telling us and grilling us about why the hell we just shouldn't go out and buy an aircon. This video is called The Greatest Invention of the 20th Century. Air conditioning. Before we click play this, ladies and gentlemen, we are so close to 350,000 subscribers. Damn! Alright.
I'm just gonna come out and say it. The Europeans are apparently making window cheese, and you're gonna have to stick around if you want to know what that means.
Window cheese? The flying bumbaclot is window cheese. Okay.
Today we're talking about the most important invention of the 20th century, air conditioning. Can't know what you're thinking. That's a pretty big claim. We came up with a lot of important stuff in the 20th century. That is true. However, air conditioning is the most important one. I'm gonna prove it, and then I'm gonna relentlessly talk smack about Europeans the entire time.
Okay. I feel like I might need to bend over for this one.
All right, why are we even talking about air conditioning right now? Okay, if you're not chronically on the
hot as
internet
hell.
like myself, A, good for you, but B, let me fill you in real quick. Every June or July, there's a magical time of year where the British experience a heat wave. There's newspaper articles, there's British and European people getting on the internet talking shit about how the Americans just don't understand a British heat wave. We couldn't possibly survive, yada, yada, yada. So then I get on there, I'm competitive, they're talking smack. It's like, okay, I mean, how hot is it over there? Never been there. Maybe it is super hot. I have no idea. So then you look into it and all the headlines are like, the British heat wave has reached over 30 degrees Celsius.
Hey, let me tell you something though. I will never complain about heat. I probably will. That's probably lie. I will never say this. I will never tell an American, look, we've got a heat wave at the minute. It's way too warm here, okay? I'll never say something along those lines because I do know what it's like to be an American. I do know what it's like to be an American during the summer. And I do know what it's like to be baking in American heat in the summer. Didn't go in August, so I was there in July. But my God, it was hot as old hell. And we have a thing over here called rain. And you guys do too as well, but not all the time. It kind of lives here. When we get rain here, that means it's gonna be cool. America don't work like that. Mother Nature in America don't give two shits about the rain. She's like, I'm not cooling down today. So you can rain all you want. It'll still be 39 degrees Celsius. It's mental. So my point is, you'll never hear me complaining again. And I've actually got 2 air cons in my home now. One, the other one's a fan.
For the 5th day in a row.
Yeah, all you have to do to convert is times 2, add 32, and join the rest of the human race.
Okay, my country's flag is on the moon. I have no idea what 30 degrees Celsius is, so then you gotta get on Google again. You gotta ask it what 30 degrees Celsius is, converted into Fahrenheit, the superior way of measuring temperature. It's like 86 degrees, and these people are acting like they're melting. Buh! Actually, Celsius is better because it's a metric system. You know, that measurement system the entire world uses except for you guys. It's obviously the best. Buh! No, it isn't. It doesn't even make sense, okay? Fahrenheit is the easiest concept on the planet. 0 is cold, 100 is hot, based on the human experience, the end. Celsius, on the other hand, is based on the freezing and boiling point of water, which doesn't even make sense because the freezing and boiling point of water isn't a constant. It depends on like 20 other variables, including altitude. Okay,
He might be on or something. Okay, so from now on in, when I think Fahrenheit, 0 is cold, 100 is hot. Like a volume. 86 on the TV is quite loud. Come on. 86 on the TV is pretty loud, man, if it's out of 100.
Somebody asks you, how hot is it outside? Nobody's asking you, how does a glass of water at sea level feel about the temperature outside? No, I'm asking you, are my balls gonna be sweaty if I go outside? Do I need to wear shorts? Do I need to bring baby powder? Is monkey butt a potential hazard? These are the questions I want to know. I don't give a fuck how water feels about it.
It's just too much.
I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. Anyways, this happens every year. The Europeans get on the internet, they complain about a heat wave, 86 degrees, they pretend like they're melting, they say the Americans don't understand, we couldn't possibly survive a British heat wave, yada, yada, yada. Well, this year, something amazing happened.
They say that?
The FIFA World Cup is in America, so a bunch of Europeans came to America and they got to experience American heat, and it became overwhelmingly obvious.
That's 135. 57 degrees Celsius.
To experience American.
At what point do you actually quite literally melt, though? There has to be some sort of blistering or peeling going on here at the minute with the skin.
American heat, and it became overwhelmingly obvious to them they are, in fact, just being giant pansy asses about the entire situation. At which point, the Europeans realized that they were wrong, they admitted defeat, and we all moved on. I'm just kidding. The Europeans pivoted, they moved the goalposts, and then the entire conversation became about air conditioning. Okay, I had no idea because I'm an American, and to be honest with you, I don't give a fuck about European politics, but apparently the British and the French are like morally and mentally just adamantly opposed to air conditioning to the point that it is literally a humongous political debate over.
Yeah, I'm not. I do understand what he's saying though, because I was before I got it. And now that you get it, you're like, why the fuck did I get this before, man? Why did I struggle? Why did I sit and complain about the heat in these goddamn houses when all I needed to do was go and buy an aircon? Who would have thought? Who would have thought? You tackle the problem at the core, you get a resolution. Who would have thought?
Over there right now. And the right wing and the left wing over in France is literally divided on air conditioning. Air conditioning in France is right wing technology. I'm not exaggerating. And me, with how my brain works, now I have to know the history of air conditioning. So, from the top. The first modern air conditioner was invented in 1902 by an engineer by the name of Willis Carrier, and Willis Carrier was hired by a publishing company to come in and solve a problem. The problem this publishing company had was that when they were trying to print things in summer, the heat and humidity was causing fluctuations in the paper and the printing process, giving them an inconsistent product that they weren't happy with. So he gets hired to come in and figure out a way to make their product more consistent while they're printing in summer. And his first option is, obviously, I'm just gonna change the environment. I'm gonna make it a constant. I'm gonna get rid of the heat and the humidity so it's no longer a factor. Then we can tune the machines once and we can print away because it's always gonna be the same temp and the same humidity in the factory. Okay, pause. I need you to understand, as a person in 2026 that's grown up with like modern technology, this sounds obvious, like duh, just do that. But at the time in 1902, homeboy literally came out of left field and is like, clearly, I just have to change the rules of physics. I have to change the entire world around me so this works. I'm literally gonna attempt to domesticate the fucking wind so I can print books. Okay, do you understand how insane that is? That would be if like the Wright brothers, when they were trying to design an airplane, were like, fucking we'll just turn off gravity. Duh.
It's science.
But somehow, this guy manages to do it, fixes the printing problem, sees the potential, patents the idea, patents the phrase air conditioning, and then he goes and creates the Carrier Air Conditioning Company, which is still around today, has like over 50,000 employees, and is worth over $20 billion.
20 B's. Damn.
So air conditioning is like primarily used in these factory type settings. In 1914, there are some people starting to get air conditioners in their homes, but it's extremely rare. By the early 1930s, they are starting to have like commercial air conditioning units that you can put in a home, but they cost like $10,000, which in 1932, convert that to today's money, it's almost like $250,000 for a window air conditioning unit. But people were willing to pay it because if you got the money, not having ball sweat is priceless.
Wait a minute, let me just listen to that again.
There are some people starting to get air conditioners in their homes, but it's extremely rare. By the early 1930s, they are starting to have like commercial air conditioning units that you can put in a home, but they cost like $10,000.
That is mental. That's probably more expensive than their homes. In what year was that? In the 30s? What the fuck?
One of the first industries.
Hell yeah.
Convert that to today's money, it's almost like $250,000 for a window air conditioning unit, but people were willing to pay it because.
But was that the reason people were willing to pay it? Because they needed it? Oh, fuck me.
Got the money, not having ball sweat is priceless.
Hell yeah.
Oddly enough, you can make the argument that air conditioning is actually responsible for movies, TV, and Hollywood as a whole. Because outside of manufacturing, one of the first industries to adopt air conditioning is movie theaters, which makes so much sense because I cannot tell you how many times I've been shown like, oh, this is a silent film from 19 whatever the fuck, and oh, it was so funny at the time, blah, 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 blah. Nobody was going to movie theaters in the 1920s, the 1930s, the 1940s because they enjoyed watching silent films. They were going because that was the only place they could go to get air conditioning and get out of the heat.
Refrigerated washed air. What a fantastic name, man. Bring it back. That's okay.
For 2 hours. You can actually go back and read accounts from people at the time where they're like, yeah, no, we don't go to the movie theater because we give a shit about the movie. We just go so we can go there to cool off. So in a way, it's pretty likely, or at least you could argue that if it wasn't for air conditioning, the film industry as we know it today might not exist. Regardless, movie theaters were a lot of people's first encounter with air conditioning, and once they saw it, they're like, holy shit, this is awesome. I want to get it inside my house. But from here, the cost of air conditioners actually plummets because it's something that everybody can use and everybody wants. It's just like TVs. When I was a kid growing up, a flat screen TV was like $12,000. It was some.
Wow, that is insane. 12K for a TV. My God.
Absurd amount of money. And today I can go to Walmart and buy a 70-inch flat screen TV that's better than those TVs when I was growing up for like $400. So
Yeah, how raging would you be though? I mean, you might not be that raging because you probably had the money to do so, but you pay 12 grand for a flat screen TV in the I don't know, 90s? Surely not. I don't know, maybe it was 90s. And then a couple of years later, you can buy an actual HD flat screen bigger for $200.
Air conditioning got incredibly cheap, incredibly fast when you compare it to pretty much anything else, and by the 1950s, they were starting to have literal experiments that they would call air-conditioned villages. Basically, they were new housing developments where all these new homes had air conditioning in them, and they actually had psychologists and scientists go in, and the families that bought these homes volunteered to be studied for over a year to see the impacts of living in an air-conditioned climate in your home and how it would affect you. People had no idea what would happen. Would they go crazy? Would they not be able to handle going outside anymore? These were all huge unknowns at the time. And you want to know what the psychologists and the scientists concluded about living in air conditioning? It's pretty fucking awesome, okay? They found out that everybody slept better, and they also found out that the housewives were reporting back to the psychologists that their husbands, and I quote, had a better disposition, aka their husbands weren't as fucking grumpy all the time. You can literally go back and read the articles. We'll read one right now. Headline: air conditioning helps with disposition. Women living in air-conditioned homes in Austin, Texas, the air-conditioned village, startled a team of psychologists and researchers by asserting their husbands' dispositions had somehow miraculously improved under the influence of air conditioning. Okay, when you're not hot, you're not grumpy. Fucking shocking, I know. Oddly enough, statistical data
So true. That's so true, innit? What a shock. Yo, the sun does something to me, man. It either I feel like it's the length of exposure to the sun. Because right out the bat, sun makes me happy, man. It's vitamin C. But then you get poisoned because you get so much of it, and it just dries you like a prune from the inside out.
Data collected by these researchers indicated that indoor conditions within these homes could be conducive to support this opinion of these air-conditioned housewives. Reading newspapers from the 50s is crazy because it's just like, well, the housewives are saying their husbands are in the better mood, but them bitches are crazy. We can't trust them. We need empirical data to prove their opinion might be correct.
Beautiful. I know.
But even more strongly indicated is the likely possibility that the women themselves, as a result of enjoying the comforts of air conditioning, were able to look upon their spouses with a little more than usual benevolence. Okay, translation, mom and dad are both in a better mood because nobody's sweating their ass off all day, obviously. Okay, just so we're all on the same page, if you're not picking up on a put down so far, air conditioning might be responsible for the entire film industry, TV as we know it today. It helps keep families together, and that's just scratching the surface on why it's the most important invention of the 20th century. Just to prove my point, let's have a thought exercise.
He is on something, man.
Google, completely blind. I had some guesses because I know a little bit about history, but I just went in blind and asked Google, what are the most important inventions of the 20th century? Let's see what they came up with. So coming in at number 1, we have the transistor, obviously extremely important, but the mass manufacturing of transistors isn't possible without air conditioning because in order to manufacture a transistor, you need purified air, humidity control, and temperature control, all of which are provided by air conditioning. So no air conditioning, no mass manufacturing of transistors. One more point. Coming in at number 2, the internet, okay? Internet also can't exist without AC because the internet is run off of a bunch of server farms, which also need to be in a climate-controlled environment. You ever been inside of a server room? Pretty cold, pretty purified air. Can't have it without air conditioning. Coming in at number 3, penicillin. Obviously, incredibly important. The world's first antibiotic saved tens, if not hundreds of millions of lives since it was invented. And you know what? Would it exist without air conditioning?
Probably
Almost
not.
Certainly. However, would you be able to mass manufacture it to the degree that we do today as safely as we do without air conditioning? Absolutely not. Number 4, mass production of...
But he said it probably almost certainty would exist manufacturing wise, right? But maybe if the scientist that made it, maybe he was in an air conditioned room at the time when he was making it, and if there wasn't air conditioning in that room at that time, he might not have been in a very good mood. So he might have been like, fuck this. I'm going home. So he might not never have even made it, man. W aircon.
Automobiles. Could that exist without air conditioning? Yes, it could. However, if you look at where most cars are manufactured, Texas, Tennessee, Alabama, Mexico,
Hot as
none
hell.
of those places would be able to crank out cars to the degree that they do without air conditioning because you would have workers dropping out from heat stroke. In fact, most of the major cities in America that are in a hotter climate, like, I don't know, Las Vegas, Phoenix, Dallas, Houston, Orlando, Atlanta, all of which would probably exist to some degree if it wasn't for air conditioning, but air conditioning allowed them to grow into major metropolitan areas. It's literally a saying, air conditioning made Phoenix possible. And last but not least, the airplane. Now, would the Wright brothers have strapped some wings to a bicycle, drove it off a cliff, and figured out how to fly? Absolutely. Is commercial flight without air conditioning as we know it today possible? Absolutely not. The inside
Definitely
of that
not.
cabin on that plane would be 400 degrees if it wasn't for air conditioning. So yes, air conditioning is the most important invention of the 20th century. Which raises a question, why the fuck don't the Europeans just use it?
Bro, just leave us out of it. We're on a roll. Now I feel I'm gonna get... He's about to roast us now, isn't he? Here we go.
Right. What did he say?
So there's his edge, huh? He only chopped him down because he couldn't see the view no more. What's he known about?
And the answers to that question might be the most infuriating answers to a question I've ever gotten in my entire life. Answer number 1. Europeans don't need air conditioning because the climate isn't as hot as America. Now, setting aside the fact that that proves the initial point that America is hotter and we could survive a British heat wave, we'll just set that off to the side real quick. The Europeans say shit like, well, we wouldn't run them that often and we would only need them for like 1 month a year. Cool. Do you know how much shit I own that I don't need very often? I've had a spare tire in every car I've ever owned my entire life. I've never had to use it. I've still fucking got it just in case. If there was something that I only needed to use 30 days a year to make sure my balls weren't hot while I was trying to sleep, you best believe I'm gonna fucking own it. Oh, well, Europeans are tougher than you Americans. We'll just grit our teeth and bear it. Are you? Are you really? Because last I checked, 175,000 fucking people died from heat stroke because you're too fucking stupid to buy an air conditioner. You understand how insane that is? If there was any other event on the planet that killed 175,000 people, there would be memorials and statues commemorating what a tragedy this was. But because it's just you guys being like, well, the Americans invented a machine that can domesticate wind, but we don't want to admit they're right, so we would rather let all our young and elderly die of heat stroke than give them the W.
No, I give you the W, man. I give you the W. Hey, we're fucking idiots, man. I'm not an idiot. I used to be, but not anymore because I knew the way. I know the way it should be. But they're all fucking idiots who say that, one, you wouldn't survive a British summer. That is monument. That might be the worst one. That is monumentally thick as shit. Number 1 shows me that your brain doesn't quite work the way it should. And number 2, it also shows that you've just never been to America. If you genuinely think that Americans wouldn't survive a British heat summer, you're just talking out of your ass. It's just a blatant, it's a factual lie. Thank you.
What are you doing? Okay, which leads right into the next argument, the most infuriating one because I used to build shit for a living. Americans don't understand because our homes are actually built to retain heat, so an air conditioner wouldn't work as well for us. Motherfucker, that's just insulation. That's how insulation works, okay? Do you have a thermos? If you put hot tea or whatever stupid shit you guys drink in a thermos, you know how it stays hot? Now dump it out and put fucking ice water in it. The ice water stays cold, okay? Your house isn't specifically designed to be hot inside. It's designed to have a controlled temperature regardless of what's going on outside. So if you buy an air conditioner and you cool off the house, it stays fucking cool. Well, air conditioning's really expensive. No, it isn't. You can buy a window unit for $169 to cool off the room that you sleep in or your living room or whatever, okay? The average minimum wage of Europe is $8.33 American. That's 20 hours of the most unskilled labor that you have available in exchange for a magic box that domesticates the fucking wind so you don't have to sweat your balls off. Okay, that is a modern miracle, and you're saying that that's too expensive? I would pay an outrageous amount of money to see a British person go back in time and talk to one of their ancestors, some medieval peasant picking turnips outside of a castle, and explain to them that in the future, there's a magical box that can make the house cold when it's hot outside.
They would either bite your hand off and celebrate it, or they would hang you and say you were a witch.
And in exchange for that, all they had to do was work 20 hours and they could cool off their house for years upon years to come, and then explain to them with deadpan stare, but I don't do it because it's expensive.
Are you pulling my leg?
Motherfucker, it's literally magic to these people. You have the opportunity to buy climate changing magic for 20 hours of your time, and you're just like, Nah, I'd rather let grandma and grandpa die from heat stroke. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm slowly coming around to the idea that this is actually a conspiracy by the European governments to slowly kill off old people so they don't break their universal healthcare system. There's
Might be onto something again, man.
no other logical explanation for why you would be anti-air conditioning. And apparently
True.
one of the big talking points is, oh, well, air conditioning is actually bad for climate change, so it's only making the problem worse. And then the climate activists get on CNN or the BBC or whatever, and they're giving interviews offering alternatives to air conditioning that you could do. I'm gonna show you, because if I didn't show you the interview, you wouldn't believe me. Their solutions get progressively worse, but we're gonna go ahead and start off with their best solution. Solution number one.
If it gets really hot, I sleep under a wet sheet. That's my other technique.
Can I just listen? I know when you see shit online and you take it as the gospel. I have never heard of anyone doing that ever. This might be a crazy person, okay? There's crazy people everywhere. There's crazy people in America. This lady might be a crazy person on the screen right now. I'm not saying she is. I'm saying there's a possibility because she's putting a wet fucking sheet over her to cool down.
How about no?
With a big bucket of water under the desk with my feet in the bucket of water.
Option number
Actually visualize that. So this is all instead of having an air gun. You will wrap yourself up in a wet sheet and put a bucket of water under your desk to put your feet into. Oh my God.
2, soak your feet in a bucket of water while you're sitting at home all day long. Also, no. B, I know your house fucking stinks. It smells like wet feet and BO because you're not wearing deodorant and you don't have air conditioning, and I know you're sitting in the house sweating your ass off 24/7. No, I'm not doing it. And option number 3, I can't believe this is real.
Including, would you believe it, painting windows with yogurt.
No. Surely not. No, that's gotta be a bit. Nah, man. Bro, don't say nothing. I know I've paused you in a minute, but don't say nothing. Can we just sit like this for the next 5 minutes and just really think about what's happened there? Surely not, mate. Hats off. Oh boy.
How are you this
He's lost it.
Your solution, rather than just admitting the Americans are onto something with this air conditioning shit, is to smear yogurt on your fucking windows. You want to make window cheese rather than just turn on an air.
Oh, okay. That's what I forgot about, the whole window cheese dilemma. I've never heard. I refuse to believe that's real. No, that's just whatever that was. That BBC or something like that. BBC, they talk shit. That has to be just someone on there talking shit. I'm gonna Google this. Do people in the UK paint windows with yogurt to cool down? Oh my God. Yes, some people in the UK do smear yogurt on their windows during hot weather, following a viral social media. That is not a life hack. That is just being a fucking idiot, is what that is. Studies by researchers. Researchers. Who? On what planet? Because clearly they were having a class about how can we really attack this heat without banning a fucking aircon. Smart thing to do. What else can we do? There's got to be a simpler way. Who the hell comes up with yogurt on the window? Oh, listen to this one. This is the science behind it. The dried milk solids create a temporary solar shade that blocks and reflects incoming radiation before it enters the room. What?
Air conditioner. How do you not see how fucking insane that sounds? Like, one of your biggest talking points is air conditioning is expensive. How expensive is it to smear a new layer of yogurt on all the windows on your house and then have your house smell like curdled milk and still be hot as shit? I can't even begin to fathom the amount of desperation and misery the person that figured this out was experiencing. Do you know how fucking hot and sweaty and delirious you have to be sitting at home in your living room on the couch for you to finally go, I gotta do something. I'm gonna try.
So you have to think about this from a financial position as well, right? How big is the yogurt? When you say yogurt, I'm going to go with the Greek yogurt. It's kind of big. I can't remember how many mils are in that one. 200 grams, maybe 200, I don't know, whatever it is. They're probably about £4. So to cover the windows in your house, I would say you probably need about, because there's no way it's just going to have to be in one and done, like kind of layer. You're probably going to have to re-layer that shit to actually get it to work properly the way they think it works. So you're I'd say probably about 8 tubs before it's going to do anything. So 8 times 4, £32. So you probably spend £32 on yogurt yogurt to smear on the window instead of just paying the little bit extra. £32 for a one-time done as well. Instead of just paying the extra, whatever it is, to just buy an air conditioning unit. You don't even need to buy the ones that sit in the window, bro. You can literally just buy a fucking Dyson one. Sit in the corner, set the temperature, and let it do its thing. Why are we buying yogurt? My God.
By smearing yogurt on my windows.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. I just threw up in my mouth a little bit.
Like, what are you doing? Just get an air conditioner, for the love of God. Oh my God. At this point, I'm convinced that air conditioning could prevent World War III if you guys would just do it. No wonder you guys are always starting world wars and dragging us into it. You're all fucking grumpy and hot 24/7.
Everyone's too warm.
Get some AC and come up with a peace treaty. I don't ever want to hear a European talk shit about America being dumb ever again. They always love to bring up like, oh, America has a bunch of gun violence, blah, 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 blah. Cool. More people are dying because you refuse to use air conditioning than Americans are dying from gun violence, all right? And by a lot, it's not even close. Europe is losing 175,000 people a year. To put that
This is wild. Why is this happening? What the hell? Should I start an aircon company? Oh my God, I've just had a business idea. Aircon. That's what I'll call it, like the movie.
into perspective, America had roughly 60,000 people die in the Vietnam War. How do you not see how insane that is? Air conditioning at this point is like the cheapest, most cost-effective, life-saving technology on the planet, and you're just like, nah, I don't want it. And the most beautiful part about all this is I know for a fact there's going to be a ton of keyboard warriors with a bunch of stupid talking points and smug comments in the comment
got your
sections,
back, bro.
and this is going to get clipped and put on Twitter and Instagram and all these other places, and it's going to be all these comments, and you know what? None of those comments would be possible without air conditioning, because without air conditioning, the internet...
I thought he was about to go into another sponsored segment there. I was about to laugh.
using wouldn't function, and the phone you're holding in your hand wouldn't have been able to get manufactured. You are proving my point that air conditioning is the most important invention of the 21st century, and if you don't have some, you should get some, and that's all I gotta say about that. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch, maybe drink some Echelon. Links to both of those available over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang.
Fattelectrician.com, quack bang out. Yeah, I love that dude, man. He's such a good guy, bro. Such a funny dude, man. If you probably know Fat Electrician if you know me, man. You definitely know he's a big boy. Not physically. I don't know why he calls himself a Fat Electrician. Maybe his brain's fat. Anyway, ladies and gents, yes, the takeaway. We're a bunch of idiots over here, man. We are a bunch of idiots. You know, I literally only jumped on the whole aircon quite recently, but I did have an aircon before that as well. Maybe like, I think I've had one for about 3 or maybe 4 years. I think it's since I moved into this home for like 4 years. Let's say 4 years. I've had one for 4 years. So I do not understand how I went so long without one, man. Because I definitely complained it was way too hot. I don't think I've complained about the heat over where I live now ever since I started going to the US for my vacations. Because, like I said during this video, if you think America isn't as hot as the UK or Europe, some places in Europe are Turkey in Europe? I'm pretty sure it is. Some of it is. It's hot. Like it's like 46 degrees Celsius or whatever. That's fucking hot. Dry as old hell. Like. There is something about the heat in the US, especially in your... I've been to Las Vegas. My God, you don't even sweat in Las Vegas because it's so hot. It's just dry as a bone. And in Orlando, you're covered in sweat as soon as you fucking step off the plane. The UK, a way to not complain about the UK weather being too hot is to go to America and experience their summers. And then you come home and you see the summer here and you come to your senses that, hey, you know what? Maybe I've been complaining for 3 decades over nothing. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this has been me reacting to my guy. That was a good video, bro. I really enjoyed that. But for now, ladies and gents, before you go, please do leave the video a like. Please do subscribe to the channel and I will see you guys in the next one. See ya.